Hey guys, so we're continuing on. I haven't worked on the Tw25 in a while. We have to get this thing done. It's got to get done now. It's one of those things where I've put it off and went and done other things because, one customer will call you and say, well, I don't need it right now. I don't need it till this such and such time. So you go try to put out the fires that you can. Um, you know, the squeakiest wheel gets the grease. So there, you got one guy that I need it now, and the guy that says he doesn't need it right now, he needs it this time. You put him off. So basically, that's what's happened here. So he needs this tractor for third cutting, and we've got to get things going. The reason we're doing a voiceover for the most part of this video is I finally figured out what was going on. So this is the second GoPro 8 camera, and I know I'm a glutton for punishment. The only reason I went with the GoPro again is because I've got so many accessories for the thing. And I actually think that this camera, they changed the way they mount accessories to the camera. And what's happening here is they've got two swivels that come down and you run that bolt or that little thumb screw through it to mount your accessories onto that camera. And I noticed that when I started having problems with this camera is when I used that big 3-inch magnetic base. And what I think's happening, the way they're mounting the camera now, it's mounted directly to the camera. See, my old GoPro 5s and GoPro 7s, you bought this little protective case that actually had those mounting ears on it, and then that thumb screw went through it. So when you pulled on that magnetic base, you were pulling on that camera enclosure. You're not pulling on the camera directly. Well, now they're mounting directly to the bottom of the camera with this little swivel point. And I think what's happening, you're pulling on that big magnetic base and you're pulling the guts out of the camera. I think it's kind of my fault at one time and their fault for designing it that way. I think they kind of screwed up. And the other thing I don't like about the GoPro 8, all the old previous models of GoPros, if your lens got scratched, you could do a quarter turn and pull that lens off and replace that with another one and you're good to go. Now you can't do that anymore. You screw the lens up, you could buy another camera. So I guess I just finally need to, we're going to go try a Rode video mic because I've got two of these GoPros with audio problems. I'm going to spend $50 and go buy this external mic and see if I can salvage $800 worth of cameras. If not, I guess we're going to have to finally bite the bullet and switch brands. Anyway, that being said, I'm putting a cab on this tractor right now. I videoed all this stuff and realized how bad the audio was, and I was really hoping the audio was going to be good because, as you'll see here, you'll see me kind of duck and run for cover here a couple times. I saw the storm coming out of the south, and it's really hard to tell how bad the storm. Well, it's really hard to tell there was a storm coming at all till you heard the thunder because here lately we've had so much smoke down here from all the fires, you really can't tell there's a cloud in the sky right now. And anyways, I heard the thunder coming, and as I picked up the cab, and I could, you can kind of smell rain. I lived in Texas till I was, I don't know, 14 years old, and I remember when I was a kid, my dad, he used to work in the oil fields in Texas, and I remember he was a welder for the oil fields, and I remember going to some of these well sites and seeing these huge lightning storms in the West Texas and places like this, even Central Texas where I lived till I was like 14 years old. And this kind of brings back memories every time I get and we don't have lightning up here, nothing like they do down there. I mean, I remember my grandpa in Texas, he was an old fart. He called a good rainstorm, he called it a turd floater. And I always asked him, when I was just a little kid, why do they call that a turd floater, Grandpa? And he says, because when the cow patties start floating across the road, it's a turd floater, that it's rained really good. But anyways, I just remember back when I was a kid there that I was on some of these well sites with my dad doing these welding jobs for, I think, Lynx Drilling and Expert Drilling was the two companies he worked for at the time. And you see me run out of the tractor there. That one was closed. I was kind of hoping the camera would pick up the flash because it flashed pretty good. I remember seeing it out of the corner of my eye, and I felt I felt my hair standing up, and I thought, what the hell, you know? That just brought back a lot of memories of being down there in Texas when I was a kid on some of those well sites with my dad, and he would be doing some of these welding jobs down there, and lightning to be popping all around us. I mean, nothing. This area is nothing like it was. I mean, it scared the. I was a kid, and it scared the hell out of me when I was a little kid. Dad to be out there welding, and I'd be going running for the hills there, trying to get back in the cab of the pickup and get out of it, and he'd still keep going along there, you know. And anyways, I just thinking about. I know it's a little off subject, but just thinking about that, we were talking about that the other day. One of my customers had a for the phone company, he had a what do you call it? One of those ditchers, ditch witch, and it got magnetized. They got into something that magnetized it, you know, and it was really screwing with it. And he was wondering how to demagnetize it, and I was telling him, well, you should be able to wrap the ground lead around that and try to get the, you know, you get the polarity reversed and be able to make it demagnetize. I said it takes a little fiddling with it. Sometimes you'll have to run it on AC too and do it. And I said I just remember my dad back when I was a kid. We were at a well site, and they had some drill stem or something, and he was going to build a railing. The drilling outfit built, you know, they put an office at the new well site, and they wanted a railing built around this office, and Dad would have to weld on it. And I remember when I was a kid there, every time he went, he had an old Lincoln, you know, SA200 welder, and every time he went to arc with it, it'd blow his rod off. And because, you know, you guys ever took two magnets and put them next to each other, and they would repel each other, you know, opposites attracts. And anyhow, I remember him kept blowing his stinger off, and I was just a little kid, and Dad, he told me to grab the ground lead. I must have been maybe 11, 12 years old. I didn't know what was going on. And Dad told me to grab the ground lead and wrap it around the pipe. He said, give me 12, 13 turns, okay? This way. He said, go clockwise this way. And I remember, I may not have this 100% correct. That's been a long time ago. But I remember wrapping that ground lead around there, and it blew his lead off again. And he said, okay, unwrap it and go the other way. I said, what do you mean? He says, go counterclockwise, wrap it. And I started wrapping that lead around there going counterclockwise. And I went 12 turns or 13 turns or something to that effect. And he started welding. And he stops welding and he goes, give me 2 more turns on that. So I wrapped 2 more turns on it, and then he just welded the rest of the day. And it took me a lot of years when I started actually doing a lot of this mechanicking and welding and stuff like that on my own. I finally figured out what he did. He changed the polarity and demagnetized it is what he did, you know. And I thought, man, them old timers sure were smart. But anyways, that's just a little story of something I learned when I was a kid, but it took me about another 15 or 20 years when I started doing something myself to actually figure out what the old man did. But anyhow, I got the cab on this thing, and to be completely honest with you, I was in such a hurry there that, you know, where the linkage comes back down for the 2 SCVs. One of those rods got hung up there when I set it down in a hurry because the lightning was popping, and then it really started dumping and raining on me that I actually came back the next day, and I had to pull that rod off there and straighten it out because it bent it, because it fell down. And when I set the cab down in such a hurry and was trying to get out of there, it basically pogoed and bent the rod. So that's one thing nice about these old tractors. Most of it was all metal, and you could usually fix your screw ups and straighten stuff out like that. So that's not the first time I've done some 55 series that I've put cabs on that, you know, a piece of linkage fell down and you were setting a cab on and it got bent. But so that's not too big of a deal. Anyhow, so I didn't video most of this assembly here because I thought the main part, well, sometimes I don't really know what the viewers really want to see, but I didn't video this. I thought, well, they probably don't really want to see me putting linkage and crap like that on. That's kind of boring. I thought the main part was putting the clutch and the flywheel back on, rolling the tractor back together, rebuilding the PTO clutch pack. I thought, well, that should be the majority of it, but I just wanted to show kind of a follow through that the tractor has been completed. I got to go back, as you'll see later on, we got to go back and bleed the brakes on it and do a few tidying up, put some hood side panels we got to fix, or some screws that are missing and stuff like that. They were already missing when they got here. I found all kinds of, when I was going back together with this thing, I was putting that fuel tank in that's underneath the cab on the left hand side. And to be completely honest with you, it's one of those things where I was trying to put the bare minimum back together on this tractor so I could just start it. And long story short, I was trying to keep from putting that fuel tank in, and I was just going to suck out of a bucket. Well, I could never get it to pick up prime coming out of the bucket, and I ended up, finally I said I got to put the tank on. So I don't know, I messed with it, but I could not get it to pick up prime sucking out of that bucket. Anyways, I finally put the tank on and ran the priming pump, and it primed dried up and fire dried up. So I don't know. Anyways, one of those deals is you're trying to put the bare minimum on so you don't have to take because I'm a human being. I know I make mistakes, and if you do this long enough, you realize that you try to, even when you do one of them diesel pickups and you get the cab off, I usually fire one of them up and I put the bare minimum on there so I know it'll run, and whatever I did do, I know I'll see if it can run. I see if I fixed for certain the problem that I was trying to address. So anyhow, there was no way around it on this one. I had to put half this stuff on there, and I think the biggest thing with this tractor is the side frames and stuff on the loader. Any tractor with a loader, this one seems to be a little more, because a lot of the holes we've had to, a few years ago we had to take all them side frames and stuff off this one. It had a whole bunch of broke bolts in it, and we had to, we spent a good couple days over there getting broken bolts out of the frame, and I had to do a bunch of helicoiling. So that's the thing, and some of the holes aren't quite exactly lined up the way they ought to be, and you got to sit there with a lineup bar. So it's just time consuming trying to get the side frames on this one and get them up to where they cinch up right and they're tight. So the old tractor is really starting to, he says this is the last time. This old girl here, probably the next time she has a major problem is probably going to be drove out there in the backyard and shot. So I think this is the last go around for this old gal. So anyways, the last segment of this video is shot off my phone to where I knew I would have audio and you could hear the tractor running. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. This one should be pretty well wrapped up. Eva, I'm gonna back this thing up, park it, get him to help me bleed the brakes. This thing's got all kinds of, it's got oil pressure, so just everything on the dash is screwed up on it. Oh, got the shut-off lever out there, ding-dong. I checked that, it's got oil pressure. Is it gonna steer now? Alright, put some oil in it. I thought I just put it, oh I didn't. Eva! Eva, get out of there. I haven't got any brakes, so I can't stop if you're behind me. The tractor wouldn't move before, but it moves now. It's a good thing, huh? This thing right over here.
Okay. Where's off? I don't know. I don't know if there's an accessory or I'm gonna come back with a dead battery or. Alright, well, it's Friday evening. I'm gonna clean up the asphalt pad there where the tractor was sitting. I'm gonna go test drive it and make sure everything's gonna be good Monday. I gotta go out to Bonanza and I gotta look at the 6170M. It's got some Trimble auto steer problems and see if we can figure that stuff out. Hi, babe. Oh, you're a dirty girl. You're a dirty girl. I didn't video a whole lot of this putting together. I mean, the main part was, you know, splitting it in half. You guys saw that, and putting the PTO clutch pack in it, and putting the cab on. The cab on's not bad. I mean, just basically, you just crane it on there and hook all your linkage up on your hitch and your SCVs and all that stuff. It's these they're not that bad. And then the long part about this one is this damn loader frame on this tractor. It's just a lot of labor intensive getting all the supports and braces and hoses and plumbing and all that stuff back on there. But I'm pretty certain we've got most of her wrapped up. He'll come get it Monday, and I'll help him. Me and him together, we'll bleed the brakes on it, and we'll go road test it. And he'll probably go put his loader on it and use it for third cutting to bale with. And then in the wintertime, this is the tractor that they use every day. They use it to feed with, so they load all their feeders with it. So it gets this sucker gets used, man. It definitely gets used. So this is another thing that pissed me off the other day. I don't know why. I don't know if I picked something up with this tire when I was grading this road. But you know, it sat here for 2 days and this tire was fine. And then like the third day, I came here to the shop in the morning. This is the one that I still haven't even washed it off yet. He said he wasn't gonna be able to pick it up for a couple weeks, but anyhow, I got another damn tire to fix. Son of a gun! Did I leave the key in this thing, Eva? No. Okay. All right, guys. Well, as you can see here, there's all the crap that. Hi, babe. I sure love you girls. You're so much better than people. You see where I jumped that driveline shield out on the ground? Pretty nice, huh? What do you guys think? Huh? What do you think, babe? What do you think, you good-looking chick? Huh? You're such a good-looking girl. Hi, babe. You're such a good-looking girl, too. Well, babe, let's put tools up and we'll sweep this up and we'll go home. Call her a day. Well, guys, there's a Tw25, and there's the thrust washer for the PTO. That's the old one. So, all right, guys, that's it.